Hello and welcome to another episode of FEA's My Facility podcast, where we dive into the latest innovations, trends, and solutions in facilities planning and management. We will bring you conversations with industry experts, innovators, and thought leaders to help you navigate the challenges and opportunities in managing your facilities. At FEA, we're committed to building excellence where we live, work, and play. So if you're looking to stay ahead of the curve and improve your asset management strategy or facility financial planning, you're in the right place. So let's jump in and unlock the secrets to smarter facility planning in today's episode.
Welcome, Mike. Thank you for joining FEA on our My Facility podcast. It's really great to see you. We've only been away for about 10 minutes as we are doing this amazing crossover event between our two podcasts. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, Maureen, as the guest. I don't know what to do. I'm sitting on my hands. I'm trying to be calm, cool, and collected. Does it look like I'm holding it together? I'm nervous.
You're great. You're great. No, we're so excited to have you, and thank you so much for doing this because I know this is not normally what you do. But just in case there's someone out there who doesn't know who you are, we are very happy to have Mike Petrusky, DJ Mike P. He's got a lot of nicknames.
That's right.
Host of the Asset Champion podcast, Workplace Innovator podcasts, just podcast extraordinaire. And we are so excited to have you.
Well, it's an honor to be here on your podcast, Maureen, as we talked about, as we just recorded an episode of the Asset Champion, and you were fantastic as usual. You've been a guest many times, and I really appreciate your expertise, your passion for the facility management world and asset maintenance and operations and life cycles and all that stuff and resilience. It's stuff we talked about and we'll continue to talk about. And to have a chance to kind of come on your show now that FEA is hosting a podcast. I'm a big fan, a big supporter of everybody having a podcast. It's a big, big pool. Jump in and swim, everybody. We need more podcasters.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. It's been fun. And I'm gonna glaze you a little, as I learned on Amy Poehler's podcast. This is what the kids say when we're going to talk nice about you. So
okay, that's nice.
We had a little joke on the previous podcast where I said, podcasting used to be hard and now it's not hard. But in reality, it is a genuine skill to be able to interview, and it takes a lot of brain power and just a lot of forethought to be able to listen intently and actually hear what the person's saying and then be able to respond and ask another question. And you can tell when people aren't good at it because they sort of just have their next question up on the screen and don't really listen to what was said. But you're really, really good at this. So it's such a joy to listen to your podcasts.
What was that? I'm just kidding. That's a joke. See, that was the perfect setup. I'm kidding. That is fantastic. Very nice of you to say. And yeah, we were talking about it in the quick break between recordings, that it is very difficult because the camera's rolling, the microphones are recording, and you want to be your natural self, but you have this desire to make sure you get it right, and you're thinking and you're overthinking. And I've been doing this for a decade now, Maureen, and it never goes away. The imposter syndrome, why am I able to be the host of a show? Why does Ep8 pay me to be DJ Mike P? This is something I would do for free. I hope my bosses aren't listening. But no, it's amazing, and it's something that is really hard, yes, but fun and a blessing to do, and to share these moments with people like you. It's kind of a little bit of a window into what happens at an IFMA event or something like that, where we have a chance to have these great conversations, just natural, organic interactions, human to human, person to person. That's what I try to duplicate on my show. It's hard to do because the light's on and the camera's rolling, but the closer we can get to that just natural, authentic conversation, the more people will inspire and encourage in our facility management world.
And so how did it start for you? Like, what was your journey to starting a podcast, and then you just kind of went on this straight up trajectory to the point where you are now, where it's a full-time job?
Yeah, well, it's a crazy story. The Cliff Notes version, the very short version, is stumbled into the world of FM about 15 years ago at the local IFMA chapter here in Washington, D.C., the capital chapter of IFMA, met some wonderful people. I was running a small marketing firm at the time, and I said, I want to do more business with these types of people. I just love this community. And it took a few years. I did a lot of volunteering, a lot of serving on the board, as you do in Denver, and many of us listening probably know what it's like you step into an IFMA meeting and the next thing you know, you're the VP of, special events or something. And I love that, being able to connect and bring some of my skills to the table for IFMA and a local community of facility management professionals. But I noticed this dynamic between the vendor companies, our associate members, our industry partners, we call them, and the FM practitioner who's looking for the latest technology or the latest services or the latest strategies and consultants to help them achieve their facility management objectives. And I said, there's got to be a better way. Let's get them together. Let's communicate better. Let's share those stories and bring value to this community. So that's when I started a podcast called the FM Innovator podcast. And it was really just designed to encourage this community of both, industry practitioners and suppliers to be in partnership together to solve the great problems that face us in the built environment and learn more and be each other's champion. And that's what FM Innovator was all about, and be an innovative solution provider and value provider. And it resonated with the FMs as well, because they have to do that in their organization. They have to be innovative and share the story to their C-suite and get the budget they need for that new technology tool or get that new strategy implemented and get the support of their team. So everybody needs to be innovative. Everybody needs to be an FM innovator, an asset champion, and my other show, The Workplace Innovator. You got to do these things to move the needle and be a leader in whatever your role or responsibility. And that's how it all started. Fast forward to 2018, about 8 years ago, I got hired by iOffice because the brilliant leadership there, I shouldn't say it. They weren't brilliant because they hired me. I just had a wonderful relationship with Elizabeth Dukes from iOffice, one of the co-founders, and she thought what I was doing in the podcasting world at the time was a great match for their thought leadership content creation. And we started a Workplace Innovator, and then later the Asset Champion, and now the rest is history. Ep8 is the current company. We've merged. iOffice became iOffice and Space IQ, merged with Condeco and ProxyClick and Archibus, and now we are a global work tech solution provider that I get to speak to people all across the globe about technology, facilities, and workplace experience. It's fun.
So were you ever actually a DJ? Is that how that came about, or you just got that nickname?
It's true. Yes, that's funny you ask. Yes, back in high school, I'm a proud graduate of Virginia Tech, go Hokies. And during my time in Blacksburg, at first I did a little time at the university radio station, WUVT. But then I got a real job. I had a friend who was working at the local rock new wave station out of Christiansburg, Virginia, just up the road. And I was DJ Mike P, or the Red Rocker from the New River Valley's home of rock and roll, Rock 105 FM. And I would play U2 and Echo and the Bunnymen and The Cure and In Excess and all those bands that I've grown to love and I've continued to love since the 80s. So that's where it all started, yeah.
That's funny. So the bands you just mentioned on your podcast, we talked about playlists. Yeah. And I mentioned one of my playlists from that road trip, and In Excess was the name, the songs I remembered, and I could come up with names were back from that day. So I put In Excess on that playlist, and a lot of other things that are very reminiscent.
Never tear us apart, Maureen.
Can't tear us apart, Mike. You just can't do it.
Can't do it. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, on that subject then, let's just veer a little bit. What's on your playlist now? What kind of music are you digging right now?
Oh, it's so funny you asked that. Here it is, 2026, and Mike P still lives in the 80s, but there's this whole new genre. Not new, it's been around for a few years, but I just go to my Spotify, and I do have my favorites. If you see my Spotify Wrapped every year, it's U2 at the top, it's A Flock of Seagulls, it's, New Order, all those types of new wave type bands from the 80s. But there's this genre now called synthwave. Have you ever heard of this, Maureen? 80s synthwave. So they basically recreate the sound. It's all new music, but it's recreating the sound of the 80s, that vibe of like keyboards and electronic drums and it's really kind of moody. Here you go. Have you ever watched the series Stranger Things?
Yes.
On Netflix? The opening theme, that would be like a synthwave song. So imagine a playlist of all Stranger Things theme song. Or there's a song that's used on social media a lot called Blade Runner 2049, where it's like this kind of reimagined theme from Blade Runner. Boing, 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 boing. And it's like, it just puts me in the 80s mood, and the vibe is perfect.
I loved Stranger Things, and I just finished the latest, season and all the finale, and I was watching it with my nephew, and he was like, I can't believe you like this because it's a little scary for me, and I would be like, fast forward. But I was like, but what was awesome about it is I'd be like, I had that sweater. Yeah. Or like there's a candy striper. I was like, I was a candy striper. And I'm literally texting my mom, and I'm saying, did I wear that dumb uniform? She's like, yes.
Good.
So yeah,
I got to be honest. I was going to say, spoiler alert, don't ruin the ending for me. But I kind of checked out season 2, season 3. I can't remember when it kind of turned more dark and scary and more horror kind of. They had a bigger budget, and they had all the ability to make the monsters more lifelike. I loved season 1 though. Season 1 was just one of my favorite Netflix series. It was so original, and it was capturing that vibe of what it was like to be a kid in the 80s. So I could definitely relate. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, so since you've been doing this for so long, I was trying to figure out, what do I ask Mike, right? This is hard. You're not usually in that seat. But I thought, you've been doing this a long time, and you know a lot of folks, and you listen and talk with a lot of folks. So I'm curious if there are things that you hear over and over again from facility managers, and whether it's challenges or whether it's what they think is up and coming, or just kind of their career path, or anything that's just been a repeating theme for you across your podcasts.
It's a great question, Maureen. It's something I think about a lot, and it is something that does seem to be top of mind here in 2026, because I think I've been doing this now, as I said, with you for almost a decade as far as podcasting goes, been involved with IFMA even longer. And at the same time, I believe a lot has changed. A lot of the same challenges are facing our friends in the FM community. And when it comes to, trying to get their voice heard and, be a leader, when they have, a hands-on understanding of how the building and how the built environment more broadly affects the people who occupy our places and spaces, they have ideas. They have understanding, I believe, probably better than anyone, about how the built environment impacts the people and how we need to care for those assets and care for those facilities in order to deliver a safe, comfortable place for people to do what they do, which is what our organizations exist for. They're to deliver something, right? Whether it's a product or a service or some type of mission they're on, it doesn't happen unless the people are able to be productive and healthy and thriving. And that is directly connected to the place in which we work. So, and it's broader than just workplace. It's into, where we go to school. It's where we, visit museums, and where we go to see sporting events and all that. So I love to talk about this big holistic view of the asset life cycle and the built environment. And depending on who's my guest, I'll ask, what is it we need to be paying attention to? What technology tools are available to help us get to where we need to go and operate these facilities in an effective way that allows for all these other things to happen downstream, which is what it's really all about, the people. So the topics that keep rising up again and again are, we struggle as an industry because, first of all, this hasn't changed in the 20 years I've known FMs. It's very difficult still to fill roles and have people come into this industry intentionally to become this person who is in charge of the built environment and therefore is trained to do what needs to be done. So IFMA does a great job of, making FM a career of choice, trying to make young people aware of this incredible opportunity to go into these roles that are essential and need to be filled. But many people I know time and again tell me they're accidentally in the world of facility management because they came up either as a tradesperson or an engineer, or they were, running something else related to their organization. And then they said, we need somebody to handle, this, that, and the other in the office. And they said, okay, I'll do it. And then they became the office facility manager. So I hear all those stories again and again. And what that tells me is that's not going to change, I don't think, no matter how hard we try. So what we need to do is encourage people, and you've talked about this, you mentioned in the last episode we did together that you're trying to communicate the story of facility management outside of our immediate community. I love speaking at IFMA. I love speaking at other events in our industry, but those people already know about FM. What about the people outside of our industry who need to know about it? And that story needs to be told. That, in addition to the fact that those inside the industry need to be told about how it's going to change. And yes, like I said, lots of these things seem to have stayed the same, but it seems with the introduction of new technology and now AI, things will continue to evolve and change rapidly, but we may not realize it right away. I always use the quote, I believe it's Bill Gates, who said, we always overestimate what will change in the next 2 years and underestimate what might change in the next 10. And I think that applies in so many ways throughout our lives, Maureen, where I can think back when a new technology was introduced and I think, oh, that's not a big deal. Or maybe I think it's a huge deal and it's going to change the world in 1 or 2 years. It doesn't. But then 10 years down the road, you look back and go, wow, what an incredible difference our world has experienced because of this tool. The smartphone comes to mind as a huge just game changer. So AI, I believe, might be in that category.
Yeah.
Still to be seen. We're in those first couple of years where a lot of people are hyping it up as like the next big thing. It's going to change the world forever. And then others are more resistant or they don't know what to do with that information. And that's kind of where I think a lot of my guests try to communicate. Now is the time as a facility management professional to experiment, to learn new things, learn new strategies, get comfortable being uncomfortable, because all of this requires us to, face our fear of failure. And I don't know about this, new thing because I'm going to not do it well. None of us will at first. Think about the analogy to podcasting. You start podcasting, it's like there's so much fear about falling on your face and making an embarrassment of yourself. That applies to everything we do in our work lives, in our personal lives, personal growth. And I'm here to say, and I love it when my guests come on and share about the human experience and can really encourage people to say, hey, it's okay. We're all in this together. None of us have it down. None of us are perfect. We all need to kind of, stumble our way through the beginning, then get proficient at something. And then you'll look back in a few years and say, now I'm really good at this thing. And that's where anybody who I'd say join the podcasting world, I'm still far from perfect, as you can tell, just hearing me talk, but it's such a joy and it just becomes part of who I am. And it's so much more comfortable. I think that same thing will happen with the way we interact with AI, the way we use these tech tools, facility management strategies, and caring for the built environment. Such a huge opportunity for our industry.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting too with all the new technology and thinking back, from the 80s to where we are now, and all this different technology and AI is definitely changing things. But we're still talking about you got to be able to communicate effectively. We're talking about those soft skills and having the right personality. And I think that's why people stumble into FM, because they have the right personality for multitasking and leadership and things like that maybe other folks don't have. But it would be great. It is great as we keep talking about FM to have more and more people understand that this is a job, this is a career. And that's one of the things that the ISO standard in FM helps too. Right now you have a common worldwide international definition of FM and what the heck it actually means and what we should be doing. So that's definitely something that's really helpful to get that name out there.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that emotional intelligence is what you're referring to. That's a human trait that we all can have and grow and learn how to be more in tune with the needs of the people, the human beings that occupy our places and our built environment. And that's something I think AI is going to have more difficulty with. But at the same time, AI can deliver a lot of great information very quickly. And then we can process it and say, I understand how that applies to my particular organization or my particular facility portfolio. And it's a combination of both, right? It's going to be this need to understand and look at all the data, look at all the information, and then make good decisions and then communicate those decisions. You said communication is key. How do you tell the story effectively and get the leadership team in your organization to commit money, a budget towards something, unless you can share the vision and the value of what you're talking about? I think that's really where we become irreplaceable as human beings. And if we're going to be around in this picture, I think we are. I think there's a great, bright future for human beings. I'm an optimistic guy that way. But these tools are going to need to be embraced and not, feared.
Yeah, I went at World Workplace last year, I went to an AI session, and I had two big takeaways from that. One is it's an enhancement. It's not a replacement. So don't ever, people get nervous about it and the human impact, but we need the human. We need that extra step of looking what the data has shown. It can do a lot of our analysis really quickly, like you said, and that can be really, really helpful. But we need that people side to be able to understand the data, make sure it's right, but then also to be able to communicate it out. Yeah,
exactly.
So one of the things that I wanted to ask you too, thinking about, what challenges have been, is there anything you're really looking forward to in 2026, or you got any really good guests coming up, or conferences you're going to, or just kind of things you're excited that are going to happen in 2026?
Yeah, it's always hope springs eternal and the future is bright. In fact, I got to wear shades, right? Remember the 80s? The future's so bright, I got to wear shades. I think that is something that I have to be deliberate about and proactive about, because it's so easy. And I think many of us struggle with this. Maybe I'll share this idea with you and then you tell me if I'm onto something. Because what I see, and we talked about it a lot during the COVID years, you and I were discussing that during those peak, quarantine lockdown months, so many people were hungry for information and they were all at home and eager to tune into a Zoom call to find out the latest, or tune into a podcast to get the latest. And I was doing weekly live streams to try to build this community and give people a place to go. And I heard from so many wonderful friends out there that said that was a real wonderful blessing and lifesaver for them, kind of a lifeline into the IFMA and Cornet and the community at broadly allowing them to stay connected. Well, that was 2020, 2021, started fading maybe 22, 23, and now here we are, 2026, and we're back into something I will call our normal life, but we've been vastly and radically changed. So we've got this new set of habits. Our friends in sociology or psychology would call it, we've been habituated to new things. And we're burnt out on many things like Zoom calls and podcasts and, watching things online. There's still value there. I'm thankful there's still people listening. But what I am optimistic about and looking forward to in 2026, whether it's going to IFMA or other events, is these opportunities to connect and have interactions, because I feel many of us are missing that. Our organizations are either hybrid or fully remote, or if you do go to an office on a regular basis, you're stuck in your silo. That seems to be a never-ending problem, is the inability to kind of cross-pollinate. We use that term a lot, or have a cross-section of the organization come together in a regular way. And it's even more difficult when you're remote and distant. And if you're not purposeful and deliberate about it, it doesn't happen. So I see this huge opportunity for organizations like IFMA. And even I have some ideas that I want to put into place, because I have this built-in community with the Workplace Innovator and Asset Champion podcasts, where there's a desire, a hunger for getting together in real life in some way that is valuable, not as sitting in an audience hearing somebody talk at you necessarily, although those can be valuable at times. More of that interactive roundtable discussion, conversation, more authentic social gathering that breaks down the difficulty that we have as human beings to get out of our comfort zone. Because, as I said, we're habituated to being here behind a computer, working all day, being very productive, but putting on pants, Maureen, is that a challenge for you as it is for me when it comes to the opportunity to go to
other than leggings or sweatpants?
Yeah, right. Something other than that. It's like go to a Denver IFMA chapter meeting or go to a Capital chapter of IFMA meeting. The idea is great, but I have all this resistance now that's kind of piled on me due to what we've been through these last 5-6 years. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe there's, another opportunity down the road. I think a lot of people have experienced that. And then you add in the layers of personality types. And here I am, someone who is extroverted, or at least relatively so. I'm not a pure extrovert. I don't need to go out and get that energy through interaction. I need to put myself in position to refill my tank and then go get, the opportunity to interact. And then I'll need to recharge. And I'm more of a hybrid personality, but someone who's an introvert, they're going to be like, I'm never leaving the house again. I don't have to if I don't have to. And I worry about that for not just our community of FM professionals, but our broader society. So I'm excited, if you ask, to answer your question about being more, aspirational and putting things together that are truly valuable and unique and maybe haven't been done enough in the past, and encouraging people to, get out of their hobbit hole and go face a new adventure, to bring a Lord of the Rings reference back.
Connect and engage with people, whatever way best suits their personality and what they need, but finding those points where you can have that connection. Yeah. Yeah.
It takes effort. Just like
it does take effort. It really does take effort. I'm a pretty hardcore introvert, and it takes a lot of effort. But I feel the need for that connection too. And I'll just give a shout out, maybe even for you to listen. One of our couple of first episodes on our podcast was with David Thomas, and he was the former FM of the Austin Convention Center and is now a consultant. But that whole episode is about this. It's about connection, mentorship, and how he, really thinks that connection piece is really, really important for everyone, and even as we go throughout our career.
Awesome. I'll check it out.
So thank you so much, Mike. We're already at 26 minutes. So that was amazing. It does go by really, really fast. I'm
sure does.
So grateful for you for coming on our show. And you've been a great host for many, many years and invited us. And I love being on your show. And so it's been so great to have you here. Hopefully it wasn't too uncomfortable for you to be in the hot seat.
It went by so fast, Maureen, and I had such a great time. I really appreciate the chance to share some of my ideas, and hopefully I'll encourage everybody to check out the Asset Champion podcast and listen to your latest episode, but also go back and listen to the many episodes that you and your team from FEA have contributed to over the years. I'm so thankful for that, and appreciate you having me on the My Facility podcast. Thank you.
This is great, and thank you for having me on the Asset Champion podcast, our amazing crossover event.
The podcast crossover is complete. Close the books, everybody. Peace out.
Peace out.